Okay, so today's opener, as I just said, is going to resemble exactly what your quiz looks like, with the exception I changed the numbers. So the first two problems on your quiz are going to be writing each out in standard form and exponential form. Then the last three questions on your quiz are almost going to be identical to the last three questions here. So make sure you're paying attention. All right, so for our first two questions, the directions read, factor each of the following, then write your answers in standard form and then exponential form. So the first thing I have to do is make a factor tree for 81. So I think to myself, what two numbers can I multiply together to get 81? 9 and 9. So then I come to my first 9 over here. What two numbers can I take to multiply together to get 9? So 3 times 3 will equal 9. Now what type of number is 3? Prime. So because it's a prime number, I'm going to circle it. Now, I could factor 3, but it's going to be 1 times 3. But then that would go on and on and on and on forever. So that's why we call it a prime and we circle it. We don't want it to keep going on 1 times 3, 1 times 3. So then I come over to my other 9. Because it is a composite number, I do not circle it. I factor it. What times what equals 9?
3.
Yeah, 3 times 3. I'm circling it. When I go to write my answer, it's very important that you come up to the right of your 81. You put that equal sign in. That's my visual cue that you're ready to start your answer. So standard form, you're going to write these prime numbers in order from least to greatest. Well, this time, they're all the same value, right? So I'm going to write 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. That's going to be the first part of my answer, standard form. Bless you. Bless you. So now I'm going to go to the second part of my answer. So I'm going to put another equal sign. And then I'm going to write this in exponential form. How would I write this in exponential form?
3.
Yeah, 3 to the 4th power. And then I'm going to box the entire thing. So when I go to grade your quizzes today, I'm going to be looking that you circled your prime numbers, that you came up and you put the equal sign, that you wrote your answer in standard form, you put another equal sign, and then you wrote your answer in exponential form. All right, let's take a look at the next one. We have 600. There are many ways that you could factor 600. What's one way that you did, Darius?
I did 6.
6 and 100? How did you do yours?
20 and 30.
20 and 30, how'd you do yours?
Wait, hold up. I got 30 and 19.
I did 24 times.
Oh, never mind.
Okay. So there's so many different ways that you can factor 600. It's okay if you did not choose to do it 6 and 100. The main thing at the bottom, the main thing that you need to make sure you have all your prime factors lined up to mine. All right, so let's factor 6 here. What times what equals 6? 2 times 3. I'm going to circle these numbers only because they're prime. Then I come over to my 100. What times what is 100?
2 and 50.
You could do 2 and 50. You could do 2 and 10. You could do 2 and, 5 and 20. So there's multiple ways that you can get 100. I'm going to do 10 and 10. Okay? I know I can factor 10, so I come down. What times what equals 10? Circle my prime, so I come to my other 10. What times what equals 10? What times what equals 10? So now we're going to come to the right and write this out in standard form. Least to greatest. So if I'm writing this out in standard form, least to greatest, what would that look like? What would I write down, Isaiah?
2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 5 times 5.
Okay. Exponential form, Brendan? Second to the 2 to the power of 3 times. And then I'm going to box the entire thing. How did you guys do if you used different numbers? Did you end up with the same answer? Good. Good. Nick? All right, let's look at the back side now. So the back side is what we took notes over yesterday. Square roots. So it's asking, what is the value of each of the following? Be sure to show all work. So we all know if we type into our calculator the square root of 64, we're just going to get 8. But I'm making you guys show me an extra step right now because it's going to be useful down the road when we do different lessons with square roots. So when I go to write out what is the square root of 64, I'm first going to write out equals square root. So what's the square root of 64? 8. So 8 squared under my square root sign. Now the reason why I want you guys to show this is because square root and square are inverse operations. Just like addition, subtraction, they cancel each other out. Multiplication, division, they cancel each other out. So does square root and square. They cancel one another out. So we're going to show that the square root of 8 squared cancels each other out, and our answer is just 8. So when I go to grade your quiz today, I'm going to look for the work shown just like this. Okay? Yeah, don't cross out your 8. Just cross out your square and your square root because those are the only two things that cancel. Now, when we come to our second problem, I have the square root of 7 squared times 11 squared. Well, squared and square root, they cancel each other out, right? So what would I do here?
Cancel both of the twos.
Okay, and that equals what then?
7 times 11.
Which would then equal?
77.
Perfect. And when I walked around, I saw that most of you guys had that, which makes me happy. This bottom one, there's multiple ways that you could choose to do this. You could choose to rewrite your square root and then solve it just like what we did for our second example problem. So let's rewrite our square root. When I say let's rewrite our square root, what am I asking for? Yeah, I'm going to show it written out as a square. So I'm going to put the square root and then what?
5 times 7.
Okay. And what do I do? Cancel my square and square root. Equals 35. Or you could do 5 times 7, which equals 35, but you don't have to do that extra step here. You don't necessarily have to show me the step I underlined there. Now, another way that you could do this, and I'm going to write it in red. You don't have to write it both ways. Another way that you could do this, circle your 5s. They go together, right? There's 2 of them. So cancel one of your 5s with the square root. Circle your 7s. One of those 7s cancels the square root. So then I'm left with just what here? 5 times 7, which will then equal 35. So either way, in the purple or the red, would be an acceptable way to show your work today. Any questions on that? Right. Let's stop there.